there is something specific about the upside down flag that became contextualized within January 6th. And within a month of that, you might think somebody intentionally turning the flag upside down at their home maybe has some implications, the specific thing they want to communicate to people, right? And so when you take the Banner of Heaven flag, and then you take the upside down American flag, and then you take Justice Alito's speeches lately, where he has been incredibly partisan and inflammatory, and then you take the fact that, like, no one's ever figured out who leaked the Dobbs case, but, like, as none of it's come out, there's been a lot of, like, seems pretty clear that somewhere in Alito world this happened. At some point you start to think, and then on top of that, and I got more, you say, then there's this other justice who also seems like a cranky old conservative, whose wife, again, a wife was texting the chief of staff during the insurrection to be like, coup harder, guys, need more insurrection. We got to overturn this election.
Hello, everyone. This is JVL here with my best friends, Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller of the Bulwark. Guys, it is Wednesday, May 29th. The closing arguments are over. The jury is deliberating, and I want to posit to you that this is what victory looks like. Ugh. Victory is not an outcome when it comes to the legal process and the justice system. Victory is that the process functioned. And all the things that people were worried about in the days leading up to the releasing of the Alvin Bragg indictment, and then after the charging documents were released, about whether or not he was overreaching, or the theory of the law was too novel and wouldn't be able to make it to trial, or that Trump would turn it into a circus. All of those things turned out not to be true, and what we got was a fully functioning criminal court. A prosecution that made a very strong case, a reading of the law which survived all the pretrial motions, and a defendant who had mounted a vigorous defense. This is what it looks like, and we can't be in this for a specific outcome. When you're in for the rule of law, you're not there for outcomes. You're in for the functioning of the system.
Oh, my God.
This is what it looks like.
Nobody. Was this in the show map?
I just want to...
I didn't have time to read the show map this morning, unfortunately, so I don't know if I knew this was coming, but that was fucking horrible. No, victory is an orange man in an orange jumpsuit. That is victory.
No.
That is victory. This is not victory. This whole case has not been victory. It's been fine. It's fine, I guess. Yeah, great. The rule of law is happening. Whoopity-doo.
Well, also, wait, I'm sorry. It's not a circus? He comes out and holds a press conference every time and talks about how it's very cold, which, by the way, everybody disputes that it's cold in there. He just says
we call it the ice box.
And then
don't make me side with Trump. Don't make me side with Trump. Way too many people keep their AC up blaring in the summer, okay? It's summer.
You don't know what it's like in that room. You don't know what it's like in that room.
I don't, but I do know a lot of places keep it way too cold.
And it's like 72 degrees, and he's in a full suit.
Sometimes it's chilly. If 72 can be chilly if the air vent is blowing right on you.
Okay. Listen, then he has members of Congress come down dressed like him in their stupid red ties. The Speaker of the House comes and sides with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's a circus, but it's certainly not like normal.
But that's outside the courtroom. I mean, inside the courtroom, Judge Marchand conducted a very normal trial.
Sure. Yeah.
And Trump tried to disrupt it. Like, he would pretend to be sleeping, he'd be farting, he'd be doing his stuff. But, like, Marchand kept everybody on point, kept it moving along. And the trial itself, despite Trump's best attempts, did not become a circus. That was a good administration of justice.
Sure. Here's the thing. I understand what you're saying about, like, it's not about a prescribed outcome, and I agree with that. If you think that we're gonna the thin gruel of the fact that the trial worked like trials are supposed to, I think your expectations also might be set really way low, where, like, the big victory is that the trial happened and was normal.
You've seen the last 7 years, right?
I have. But, like, here's the deal. If this is a hung jury, or God forbid an acquittal, the extent to which, I have said this before, but I believe this strongly, the downside of a hung jury or an acquittal is considerably higher. The downside is considerably bigger than the upside of a conviction. Like, conviction is just like the thing we need to make sure that Trump doesn't run around saying full and total exoneration for the next 5 months, and the entire country perceives him to be like a victim of getting railroaded.
I don't know
Sarah?
if that is if a hung jury that's true. I mean, isn't a hung jury status quo? 11 people wanted to make him guilty. One guy tries to turn into Kyle Rittenhouse and speaks at the convention and talks about, how, MAGA Americans, how he saw it firsthand. MAGA Americans are being targeted by the justice system. Wouldn't that just be, I kind of feel like that is our median outcome, and that would change nothing if that happened.
I think it's probably right. I do want to present you with one question, though, Sarah. Let's say Trump gets convicted. A month from now, you're doing a focus group with 2-time Trump voters in swing states. What percentage of them will believe that he has been convicted in a court of law? Because I'm telling you,
what
half
do you
of them
mean?
are going to be like, no, he was found innocent. They exonerated him. He was acquitted.
I don't think that's right. I do think the extent to which will get people being like, I think that's like not a big deal. Like, that was such an old case. I think this is about people just trying to get Trump. Like, I think there's a fair amount of that will be.
Well, that's what the other half will say.
Yeah.
But half of them won't even realize he's being convicted.
Well, there'll be some that don't understand why he's not in jail yet. I mean, we had our Washington Post woman, my favorite mother-daughter couple this week. The one who thought that he was already maybe in jail. She didn't know, but she was going to vote for him anyway, even though she was against Roe v. Wade.
Sure.
We love the median voter. And then her daughter chimed in that she was disappointed that in the video she saw about Joe Biden where he didn't know his ABCs.
Yeah.
This was not true. Actually, Joe Biden does know how to do the ABCs. He might not be at 100% of, he might not be doing good on the lacrosse field right now with his 82-year-old legs, but he can still do the ABCs. I don't know if you knew that.
There was a movie with Jack Nicholson in it like 20 years ago in which he plays a writer with some emotional issues, and he comes out of his therapist's office one day, and in the waiting room there's a whole bunch of people who are depressed, and Nicholson looks at them and he says, "What if this is as good as it gets?"
This is
My
the movie
friends,
with Helen Hunt.
Yeah, it's called As Good as It Gets.
This right here, is as good as it gets. There ain't no other trial.
Was that a
There
rom-com?
won't be any other trial.
It was.
This is the only trial.
An absurd
got
one
it.
where Helen Hunt is supposed to be in love with a very old, cranky Jack Nicholson.
I mean, who wouldn't be in love with Jack Nicholson? He's Jack.
Helen was in her prime, though, wasn't she?
She was in her prime.
Oh, boy. Careful. That is not a word you want to use when speaking about women, Timothy.
She's still in her prime.
Well, I've been on Don Lemon's YouTube show a couple times recently, so it's starting to rub off on me.
No, but I'm serious about this. There aren't going to be other trials. I just don't think there will be. I think he's going to win, right? And finally, this is the full
You're off
extent
the
of
rails
accountability.
today. You're
And
off
you
the
guys
rails.
can't be happy with it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be a long, grim next 4 years.
I am going to be happy with accountability. I think I am holding out hope that he's convicted. I am concerned with the other outcomes. But, George Conway on our podcast tells me he's going to get convicted. And so I'm going to believe that until I'm disabused of that notion.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance he'll be convicted, but it's not a slam dunk.
I think from a normal, to your point about normal course of like the law, it does feel like the prosecution made its case.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you remember all the hand wringing about like, oh, is Alvin Bragg overreaching? This is really just about sex with a porn star. All that stuff turns out not to be true. Like, Bragg had a ton of evidence. In fact, so much evidence that let me try this on for size. If we knew then, a year ago, what we know now, and Bragg hadn't indicted Trump, I think that would have been counter to the interests of justice. It would have been bad. I think Bragg had a burden to indict Trump, given the evidence.
Maybe. Trump leaves people with bad choices. Yeah, so it's possible. This is just the nature of living the Trump world. Like, he leaves people that are trying to uphold the norms in our institutions with bad options. It was what I discussed at great length with Jim Comey. Sometimes people that are trying to uphold the norms and institutions do a poor job under the pressure of Donald Trump leaving them with no good option.
Yeah.
So,
And then the
since he
rest
has
of
no
us
respect,
pretend, I don't mean us, but the rest of America then pretends that it's like the institution's fault,
that are corrupt. Yeah.
right? Like, oh, well, they didn't, this Democrat wasn't absolutely perfect, or, this prosecutor could have done this better, and so it's their fault. And it's not. It's Trump's fault. Trump put us here.
I agree with that. While we're trying things on for size, I had something I wanted Sarah to respond to. I was talking with Maggie Haberman at the New York Times. Don't message me with your thoughts about Maggie Haberman. And she was talking about Trump's increasing brand, the increasing way that he is just embracing criminality and being an outlaw. I believe is the word she used.
Yeah.
And I talked to her about just kind of affirming that was true. But I'm interested in the political side of this and whether there is a potential upside to a conviction, just in the way that like salience increasing around Trump is a convicted felon. He's surrounded by convicted felons. He pardoned a bunch of convicted felons. He tried to overthrow the government. He's got now, I guess, surrogates who come out on stage who are maybe not convicted felons, but out on bond for things like murder. Indicted felons.
Alleged gang members.
And is there, just like kind of that phrase, convicted felon Trump, a felon surrounded, and you use the crazy person surrounded by crazy people.
Lunatic surrounded by lunatics.
Yeah. Is there not a little bit of an off branch of that's like a felon surrounded by felons that could sink in with people even if they don't really care about the particulars of the Stormy Daniels affair?
So guys, I do.
That's my bold case.
No. And I have two thoughts. The first is, I said this at one of the live shows, like, I am consuming a lot of swing voting focus groups, and I'm very nervous. I'm consuming the polls, I'm consuming media, I'm listening to people, and I feel the fear that everybody else does. I feel the anxiety. It feels like, just people are not tuned in, they're apathetic. They are kind of like, I don't know, yeah, maybe Trump's better than Biden, like the world's on fire, Biden's weak, maybe Trump will be better. He'll,
full-blown freakout was how Politico described it. Full-blown freakout.
Okay. I still think, and I think this, and I want to just say, I think this with no analytical evidence, but I believe that when people are pushed to make a decision, when the election comes, that they will vote not for Joe Biden, they will vote against Trump. And that part of what is happening right now is that we have yet to hit the phase, and I think the trial is part of it. Trial is keeping us looking backwards. I think he needs a conviction, and I think we need to get to conventions where people now are like, okay, it is these two guys. I mean, people still think Biden's not gonna, like, he's going to step down at the convention or something. Like, you need Biden to have a good debate. You need him to be able to say that Trump's a convicted felon, and all of these things are going to layer into a place where at the point of final decision, people are going to say, I just can't vote for Donald Trump. Like, I just believe that in my gut. Like, but it is evidence to the contrary at the moment. But I believe that. You know what? One other just thing on the criminality, though. If I was in college right now, or I was getting my PhD in political science, I basically graduated college and never looked back from any more school. But if I was going to get my PhD and write a thesis on something, it would be about how American culture, starting with The Sopranos, marinated in like almost 2 decades worth of anti-heroes, criminals, and bad guys that we learned to love.
Great Hannibal Lecter.
Well, Hannibal Lecter and Tony Soprano and Don Draper on Mad Men, and just all of it. Our entire culture was about bad men who were complicated and you had to make allowances for. And I just think we marinated that, and then we elected Donald Trump. And so, like, the idea that now Americans, where it would have been anathema to say a convicted felon can be president of the United States, I just think people are much more primed for that. But I maintain that on the margins, and the margins are critical, among these swing voters, especially in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nebraska too, older white voters who joined the Republican Party because of Ronald Reagan, who watch January 6th, who watch what Trump is doing, that ultimately they don't come home to Trump and that he loses.
All right, we're gonna unpack that a little more. First, though, Tim, you have a word from our sponsor.
We do. In fact, this episode is sponsored by Lumen, the world's first handheld metabolic coach. Lumen is a device that measures your metabolism simply by breathing into it. And it's paired with an app that lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs. The app then gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. Here's how it works. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time, and Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. In case you're not aware, because I wasn't when I was sent the device, metabolism is your body's engine. It's at the center of everything your body does. Optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, and better sleep. I've, as I mentioned, received my Lumen. I like all the stats. I like the fun facts. I like knowing what's going on with my metabolism. These days, I'm a little bit more worried about my sleep, though the nutrition, I have to admit, my nutrition plan, as evidenced by what Lumen is telling me, might not be quite as much in ship shape as it was when I lived in Oakland. You know, pluses and minuses of moving to New Orleans, but it's a little feedback I've gotten. So last night I had mushrooms for dinner instead of, a grilled catfish po' boy. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/thenextlevel to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/thenextlevel for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Just one more question I have for you, Sarah, on the anti-hero thing.
Yeah.
This is a genuine question because I don't know the answer to this. Because on the one hand, I think about something like this. I sent a tweet like 2 years ago now that we can even expand on. That's like just how astonishing it is that Trump's campaign chair, deputy campaign chair, foreign policy advisor, national security advisor, fixer, lawyer, accountant at the Trump administration, at the Trump business, are all felons. Had all been felons at that point. If you add on top that Donald Trump will be a felon, like putting all that together in one place, to me, on the one hand, that is salient. That is something that voters can grab onto, and they're like, shit, there's all this news, there's this whirlwind of news, and it's always legal news, and it's like, I know he's got some weird guys around him, but like, really? Like, there's that list, it's so long, that are felons. And on the one hand, I think that might be effective. On the other hand, does it play into his hands? This goes like the Trump leading us bad choices. Like, does it play into the, I'm out to get the establishment's hands, they're out to get me, I'm out to get them? I don't think so, but I do worry about that. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think so. And here's the thing, and this is where it's sort of like when I talk about the difference between analysis in the primary and analysis in the general, because it does help him always with his base, because it's just more grist for the mill of grievance. The grievance mill. Grist for the grievance mill. And, but in a general election. Grievance grist. In the general election, I think there's still enough swing voters who are like, and I do think that this is like, Joe Biden, you want Joe Biden to stand on stage when he's debating Donald Trump and be like, you have to pay $80 million for a rape conviction. You are a convicted felon by a jury of your peers. You are unfit to be president of the United States. Like, you want him to have that and be able to drive that home. I do think the accumulation of things only matters if you can prosecute the case then, right? But I do think, I think as we get closer, that is going to be part of prosecuting the case, and I think it'll matter.
This is what I want from Kamala. She's let me down on this thing. Like, this should be her wheelhouse, man. This should be her wheelhouse.
I got a question for you guys about the nature of coalitions, which will lead us into our discussion of Democratic panic. The Democrats have very big coalition problems right now. They have progressives who are unhappy with Joe Biden because of Israel policy or not doing enough on student debt or climate change or something. We have Arab Americans who are upset with, especially in Michigan, upset with Joe Biden because of his support of Israel. Joe Biden having a hard time holding his coalition together. Then we have Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying that all Republicans are white nationalists. The people who are white nationalist sympathizers are, like, it's not 2% of the Republican base. It's, it's some percentage. Those people are totally on board, even though Trump is now appearing on stage with African-American gang members, allegedly, indicted for murder and such like that, and is saying, oh yeah, these poor gentlemen were absolutely railroaded. And the white nationalists are totally okay with that. There is no split in the Trump coalition. Why is this? Why does he pay no, like, why do none of the racists who love Trump look at him, surrounding himself with African-American gang members and say, wait a minute, hold on? No.
You know why? I think it is because
Isn't that a little weird? Like, where's raw egg nationalist?
Yeah, it's because Trump is like a buffet that people can take what they want from, right? Because he both dines with white nationalists, right? Nick Fuentes just has him over for dinner. Dude's a little Nazi, has some Kanye, while Kanye is just in the midst of just flaming out in his anti-Semitic rants. Trump's like, I'm going to have these two guys over for dinner. And he's going to say very fine people on both sides when they're chanting, do not replace us in Charlottesville, carrying torches. But he's also going to move the embassy to Jerusalem. And he's going to, say that he is the greatest champion of Israel. And I just think that, and like Bibi Netanyahu clearly wants Trump to be the president of he wants Trump. I think that there is often, Trump has no center, he has no core. And so he can be all things to all people because he says it all. He says he's pro-choice, like leave it to the states and whatever, but also punish women who, have abortions. He just says it all and people can take from it what they want. And they don't need to invest in the contradictions because they're just getting something that they need. So,
I can answer this. Yeah,
Did I
Sarah's
not
right,
answer
but I
it?
can add to it. You did, but I can add to it. The Trump voters don't actually have any policy outcomes that they really care about. They just want the lefty people that they don't like to be upset. And that's it. Like, that's their number one policy outcome. And if you think about, and honestly, like, if you just think about Israel as this example, the people that you would expect to be upset about Donald Trump dining with Nick Fuentes or doing the tiki torch thing, like, they're not happy about it, but they see their true enemies as the Campus Kafia kids, not Nick Fuentes, and they want the Campus Kafia kids to be sad, and they think that Donald Trump winning will make them sad, which there might not be evidence that's true, actually, but that's what they think. And so across the board, that's just one example, but across the board, owning the libs is the highest goal of the Trump coalition, whereas the Biden has an unwieldy coalition of people that have very specific policy outcomes that they're looking for that are sometimes in conflict with one another. And so that's very challenging. And that's also true, I just want to add to this, it's not a direct answer to your question, but I think it's an important data point for us to discuss, is there's a good, I think Eric Levitz, I apologize if I get that name wrong, at Vox, did a good analysis of research, of voting research, and the types of voters that Biden's losing. The types of voters that Biden is losing are people that do not have trust in institutions, that think everything is fucked up, that think they're getting screwed, and that are just mad, right? And so those people, like, Trump is just a vessel for them, right? Like, Trump is just a vessel to express their madness and their rage. And that is why I do worry about the convicted felon thing a little bit. Like, does that all that stuff help Biden at all with those voters who just have no trust in institutions, who are upset, who feel like they've been screwed, who are not that engaged in the details of policy? Those are the people that Biden is losing to Trump right now. And so all that complicates the calculus.
Well, it's a
for
trade,
Biden
right?
quite a bit.
So you're going to lose those people, which means you've got to more than make up for your normie suburban professional Republican types.
You got to
for
give
whom
them
the
more of
convicted felon
those.
thing is a real problem.
That's
right.
right.
It's everything is red dog Democrats, right? Yeah. Everything is your thesis on this stuff about the transition. What did you guys make of the Dem panic pieces over the weekend?
I
thought
think
there was
true.
a weird media. Yeah, I think they're true. It's a weird media thing. I could see how somebody might look at this and be like, "This was a conspiracy." That like all of the media outlets together decided that they wanted to talk about this today. But I think what it really was just like everybody in the lives of elite media members is panicked and is privately whispering to them that they're panicked. And so all the top editors of these sites are like, okay, well, a nice way to start, after the first holiday weekend, we'll come out of the first holiday in the weekend of the summer, and this will be the time to write about this because that's what everybody in our lives is saying. And so I think it was organic in that way. But yeah, I think that's essentially what's happening. I think that people in elite environs are panicked, and they have a reason to be panicked. They're the people that are like, oh, the polls aren't. I don't even understand the poll conspiracies. That I get people messaging me. They're like, oh, it's the corporate media. They want better ratings, and I'm like, I don't know. I saw a poll out of Roanoke College today that had the race tied in Virginia. Is Roanoke College in league with the corporate media? That's not what's happening. The numbers are the numbers, and people are concerned about it. And anecdotally, you're seeing it in focus groups, Sarah. We're all seeing it from people in our lives. Like, it just is what it is. Like, there's reason to be concerned.
Yeah, like it hasn't come out yet, but JVL and I did a swing voting focus group that's going to come out this week. JVL is my guest.
It's pretty good.
All right, is that
pretty good.
The kind of thing that I want to listen to with a weed gummy or with a daiquiri or with all of the sharp objects put away, or what kind of experience
Here's the thing.
am I going to get?
Well, so it's a roller coaster of emotion, because what you hear from the voters is deeply concerning in terms of their people who voted for Trump in 2016, voted for Biden in 2020, and where they are right now on Biden. Not great. And so in that sense, you may want something to calm your nerves. However, if you are somebody who listens to the Focus Group podcast and spends it wanting to like go through your screen and like scream at the people talking and tell them while they're wrong, you will get
I am your retribution.
Yeah. You will feel happy to have JVL representing
can I
your
give a
interests.
teaser? Let me just give you a teaser, guys. A little teaser for the show this Saturday.
Okay.
We had in the group a one woman, a lady, very fine, wonderful lady, who was during question being asked by the moderator what would a second term for Trump look like, was like, oh, it'd be terrible. Like, all this guy wants to do is get revenge on his enemies, and it would be it's chaos, and it would be awful. But part of me kind of wants to see what it would look like. I was like, oh my gosh. And at the end, when the moderator is like trying to push people, all right, but gun to your head, if you had to vote for one of the two, this woman, the moderator almost literally had to put a gun to her head, because she just kept saying, oh, I can't pick one. And the moderator, Megan's like, look, no, you're not actually voting right now. We're just doing this as a thought exercise. And she finally is like, Biden, I guess.
She goes Biden. She went Biden.
She says Biden, but again, I mean, it is there was a rubbernecking attraction to, I don't know, he might blow it all up. Even from somebody who doesn't want it all blown up, but just thinks it might be cool to see. That's this Saturday's focus group, guys. Yeah. Don't miss it.
I disagree.
I am your avatar.
We should send Tom Nichols to that person's house.
So
do
Tom
we
Nichols
get
was
addresses?
I was just going to bring up Tom Nichols, because I oftentimes think that he and JVL are like one and the same in the way that they approach voters, and I think that they are wrong about a great deal. However, sometimes the theory of like people are bored, like actually they're like things are too good in their lives and they're just looking for a reason to like shake things up. I hear that. Like it is a I don't know that it's everything, but it is a strain of something.
I just want to feel something. It's like the, sadomasochism. I'm just trying to feel something.
Oh gosh.
We laugh because it's awful.
Really something.
All right. This has been a good podcast.
I would say this about the Dem panic stuff. People should believe the polls.
Can I just lump us in the never Trump panic too? Can we just say?
Sure. Go ahead.
Just the panic. Yeah, great.
Yeah, people should believe the polls, because you may not believe the head-to-head numbers between Trump and Biden for some reason, but when you look at all of the tertiary attitudinal results about what's going on, how high is the unemployment rate, how terrible is the country's economic situation and stuff, that makes it look like this is 1979.
Right.
I mean, like the facts don't look like 1979. The facts look quite good, but people's weird emotional state is as if it was 1979.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what's going on. I don't know what the answer is to that.
Can I say one other thing about the polls? I agree with that.
Falcon
It's
Heavy.
related. I've been wanting to say this for a while, and I don't have an opportunity. I also don't. I guess I understand the psychological need people have to feel like they're winning in the polls. But like, there's some theory out there that it's like good for Joe Biden, that like whoever's winning in the polls, it's good for their campaign, like that. I don't understand. Like, not really. It doesn't really matter. The polls are the polls. It doesn't matter. In some ways, I think that the only election I can think of that I've been a part of where the result was potentially impacted by the polls was 2016, and it helped Trump that everybody thought Hillary was going to win. It helped him because people didn't vote for people didn't vote for Hillary because they felt like they had an excuse not to. Whatever, she's going to win anyway, and I hate her, so I'm not going to suck it up and vote for her. I'm not saying that was dispositive, but I think it definitely helped Trump. And usually,
isn't
this
that
whole
a bandwagon effect, Tim?
No. Let me just agree with Tim
I
though
don't
on this.
think
I heard
so.
this from focus group people all the time saying I didn't think Trump was going to win, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like they were sure he was going to.
I don't think the bandwagon effect is real. I think in a primary, I guess I should say, I'm talking about general election. In a primary, I think bandwagon effect is real because it's like an in-group thing, and you want to be on the winning side of
strong
the
horse,
in-group.
weak horse. There's a human nature strong horse, weak horse thing, which I think is real to voters.
I agree with. I disagree with
We
Tim
need
on
a
his broader
political side.
point.
Get John Sides. We need to get John Sides to talk about this or somebody.
No, we can, but I disagree with Tim on this idea. I think it is. I agree with the fact that it hurt.
You just told me your focus group said I was right.
Right about Hillary Clinton, about the way that worked. I think that was right.
Okay.
I think that right now, the impact, because here's the thing for Biden, the way that Republicans have constructed the higher level narrative about Biden, about he is weak, he is ineffectual, and as a result, like, hey, guy, and inflation is out of control, crime is out of control, and so people don't want him. And the perception and vibes being so important in our political life now, in a way that they even, I mean, the extent to which media continues to fracture in a way, like, even Twitter, which was like a very powerful tool, even in 2020, not now. Like, everything is so fragmented that I think as we get more and more about it's an accumulation of vibes, right, as opposed to like information we all share, the idea that Joe Biden is just like everybody's siding against him because I am validated in my, because we sit here being like the other guy tried a coup, and everybody's like, yeah, but like nobody else seems to care about that, so I don't either. Like, Trump is winning because we think he's going to be better on X, Y, and Z.
It's great that we've got a global hegemon and nuclear superpower run on vibes. What could possibly go wrong? Our second sponsor today is Rhone Apparel. The pain points of finding what to wear, uncomfortable, tight, never your size, difficulty putting pieces together when all the fabrics are different textures and levels of stretch, it can be unbearable, especially if you're somebody with OCD-ish tendencies. I mean, so I've heard. Men's closets are due for radical reinvention, and lucky for us, Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Rhone's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and truly versatile set of products known to man. They have products for every occasion. We're talking about the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, blazers, t-shirts. Their classic tee is basically the perfected version of the tee. It's really good. These things all work great as individual pieces, or they work seamlessly together. Rhone's signature is a 4-way stretch fabric that's breathable, flexible, and works everywhere from your commute to work to the 19th hole. It's time for unparalleled confidence without all the hassle. Rhone's commuter collection features wrinkle release technology and is 100% machine washable. Looking good is that easy. And They're treated with Gold Fusion anti-odor technology for more wears between washes. Not that I do that. I wash them all the time because I'm not a monster. You'll be fresh and clean all day long. So long, lingering odors. I really, really love it. I'm very, very picky when it comes to fabrics. I know this surprises you guys, especially T-shirts. I have spent a lot of time road testing, looking for the perfectly designed tee. And I think Rhone basically nails the T-shirt. The fabric really is comfortable. You can ball it up, throw it in your bag to travel for the weekend, and when you pull it out, it just like there's no wrinkles. Super comfortable to sit on a train in for 6 hours if you're taking the train somewhere. It's really great. No
When
joke.
did you take a 6-hour train
good.
ride?
Some of the train rides from New York City to Washington have been 6 hours. Thank you, Amtrak. Head to rhone.com/thenextlevel and use promo code thenextlevel to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to rhone.com/thenextlevel and use code thenextlevel. It's time to find your corner office comfort.
Do they make tank tops?
I haven't checked.
Because, you know,
I'll get back to you on that.
ever since we moved to video, Tim, I don't know if you have this feeling, but it's been a real loss for me. Because JVL's always in a shirt now, like a shirt that's, but whenever we would just tape just us, just for audio, he was always in these like incredibly, like flesh revealing, tank tops. And I just, you know, I miss that.
You miss his flesh.
miss seeing those arms, man.
You miss his
The
flesh.
the gun show. There's no gun show loophole here.
Flesh
All right.
is another word I don't like. You know what word I don't like? It's funny. Who was on the pod yesterday? I forget. Time flies. But they said, Heilman. He said skinflint. In the same sentence, he used the word.
That's uncomfortably close to skinflute.
I know. Exactly. And he said
that.
it in the same sentence as he said Welsh. Like as into Welsh on a bet, and then he thought, and some of the listeners thought that I was objecting to like on behalf of the people of Wales. And I'm like, no, I just don't like the word skinflint. But anyway, I don't remember where I was going with that, but just fun fact.
I would like to talk about the Alitos.
Okay, I love Martha Ann. She's such a diva.
This story, which began with the New York Times reporting that the Alito household ran a flag upside down in the universal sign for distress at some point following the 2020 election, was then followed by the revelation that the Washington Post had this story for 3 years and sat on it. And that in the course of the Washington Post reporter, they sent somebody over to talk to it, and Mrs. Alito acted like an insane person and kept like yelling at the reporter, getting into her car, getting out of the car, yelling at the reporter again, getting back into the car, like things that a normal, well-adjusted person doesn't do. Followed by the revelation that there's another strange flag being flown at their summer residence at the shore in Jersey. I forget which one this was. It's like
It's not a strange
The
flag.
appeal to heaven.
It's the appeal,
to heaven.
I don't think it's that strange.
With the
I am sorry. I run in very conservative Catholic circles, and I have never seen this flag before.
I saw a
appeal to
picture of
heaven?
I saw
never.
a picture of Jeff Duncan wearing the appeal to heaven pin. It's an old timey symbol. Okay?
Again, I think my Catholic bona fides here are
I don't think it has
tip-top.
to do with the church. I don't think this has to do with Papa Francisco in any way.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's about revolutionary times. They actually were anti-Catholic back then.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind
this
that.
might be why.
And then today, on Wednesday, we get a long Jodi Kantor piece. Jodi Kantor is Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter who broke a lot of the Harvey Weinstein stuff, where she has gotten... Now, we got the Alito version of this story given to Fox News, in which some terrible neighbor called her the C word, some man, and that it was because they had put a profane sign, anti-Trump sign, right where school children wait to pick up the bus, and and now it turns out none of that is true. So Jodi Kantor has Emily Baden, who is the neighbor in question. She's interviewed Mrs. Baden. She has seen contemporaneous texts and recordings of phone calls, and also interviewed other neighbors in the neighborhood who witnessed altercations. And everything about the Alito timeline is wrong, and like not even close. And I don't know if Sonia Sotomayor was, had an Antifa flag flying or something, kind of be a big deal, right?
Yeah. No, Fox News would totally shut down and just dedicate 24-hour round-the-clock coverage to the upside-down flag outside Sonia Sotomayor's house. I do want to say, you missed a well, first, I want to say, it seemed like you took a little shot at the Washington Post there, and I just want to say I thought the Washington Post has been doing very good reporting, particularly this week on the Bulwark. But maybe
their
it might have been
profile
a
on
miss.
us was very good.
Yeah, it might have been a miss on the flag. But I've had several people message me and they're like, why did the Washington Post write this profile right after I canceled my subscription when I learned that they killed the flag thing? Like, sorry guys, I'll send you a GIF link. I get mine for free with my Amazon Prime. You missed a important fact about the story. There was even in the timeline that the Alitos gave, right? It was she gets called the C word sometime after January 6th in January during a neighborly altercation. They turn the flag around then, in January 17th or something. What we learn in the New York Times story is that no, the C-word altercation did happen, but it happened February 15th. And we know that for sure because there was a police call that happened.
Yes.
Like cops were called. The altercation got so heated, included Mrs. Alito, I guess, spitting on the neighbor's car. So again, I mean, I think that she seems like she'd be an awesome character on like a Bravo series. I do think it calls into question the judgment of Samuel Alito pretty strenuously. That he would know that
honesty.
He knew this happened and that he would lie. I mean, say what you want about the flag. Maybe it's true that his crazy wife is like turning flags upside down and spitting on people and like whatever just because of his Catholic faith. He's gonna stay with this marriage and they're in counseling with their priest together and he's just a nice quiet justice in his robe, not doing any of this. Maybe that's true, but then that like most beneficial story is totally undermined by the fact that he called his buddies at Fox and just lied, just like gave them a false story about what happened.
I'm sorry, if you're a Supreme Court justice who's trying to avoid the appearance of impropriety, you then go to Fox, right? I mean, the real answer is
and
you would go
lie?
sit down with like CBS or somebody who is basically nonpartisan, right? The fact that they went to Fox, went to conservative Pravda, is insane in itself.
It's a totally false story.
So I got in a fight about this over the weekend with some anti-antis after.
I'm going to assume it was on Twitter.com or was it?
It was on Twitter.com.
Was it a neighborly?
No,
was it a neighborhood anti-anti? And you were screaming at the neighbor.
I spat at no one. But weirdly, where I was quite defensive on the bloodbath side of things, right, for not being true. This story.
Remember.
Right. This story I have different feelings about, and the reason is something that I guess I would call accumulated context. So what Eric Erickson or the anti-antis are trying to do is they want to take each little piece separately, right? And they want to say like, yeah, well, the appeal to heaven flag, there's nothing white nationalist about that. It's just like a revolutionary symbol. Okay. So
Sure.
I was out recently, and I saw somebody wearing a 1776 t-shirt. Now, and here's the thing about context. 4 years ago, if I saw somebody with a shirt that said 1776, I would be like, is that about the musical? Do you like the musical 1776? Are we just fans of the founding? Because same.
Big Madison buff, maybe?
Yeah, same.
Federalist Papers?
This is important. This is our nation's founding. Now, I do think that once we've just gone through a period of time where the Capitol's been attacked and people were shouting 1776, and Marjorie Taylor Greene made it a rallying cry, I think it is fair for reasonable people to say that some of the context of this previously benign and in fact sort of positive just annual remembrance of our founding has been bastardized and perverted into a way in which the current context is a bit of a problem, right? Or like might lead us to make assumptions about what this person is thinking. Similarly,
Or it might not be a problem. It might raise questions. You might just be like, huh, now
right.
you're thinking to yourself, now you're starting to think, okay, I have one piece of information about this T-shirt. Is this person
I just
an
have one piece of
insurrectionist?
information.
Or do they
Or
want
just-
They have a face tattoo of Donald Trump.
Musical
That's
buff. Musical
another
buff.
piece of information and
But
context.
you'd need more. You'd need more than just that T-shirt. That's not enough
You
for
would.
you to think, right?
Of course.
And so what you do is you say, okay, the Appeal to Heaven flag on its own at their beach house, okay. But then you add that to the within a month's time of an insurrection, where a whole bunch of people turned the flag upside down, again, using the idea of distress, right? It was they were taking the original intent, and then they were saying, but in this context, the way we are going to demonstrate our distress is to attack the Capitol and try and overturn an election. We're going to fly our flags upside down. Now, they flew a great many flags right side up during the insurrection as well. Now, that doesn't mean everybody who flies an American flag is an insurrectionist. Absolutely not. However, there is something specific about the upside down flag that became contextualized within January 6th, and within a month of that, you might think somebody intentionally turning the flag upside down at their home maybe has some implications, the specific thing they want to communicate to people, right? And so when you take the Banner of Heaven flag, and then you take the upside down American flag, and then you take Justice Alito's speeches lately, where he has been incredibly partisan and inflammatory, and then you take the fact that, like, no one's ever figured out who leaked the Dobbs case, but, like, as none of it's come out, there's been a lot of, like, seems pretty clear that somewhere in Alito world this happened. At some point you start to think, and then on top of that, and I got more, you say, then there's this other justice who also seems like a cranky old conservative, whose wife, again, a wife was texting the chief of staff during the insurrection to be like, coup harder, guys, need more insurrection. We got to overturn this election.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more insurrection.
Yeah. And so, like, I think that at some point, the accumulated context, so, like, the anti-antis and people who want to fight with me about this want to take each of these little things and, like, pick them apart. Whereas this is, like, and because I tweeted something that was, like, I said it's, like, in solidarity with the insurrectionists, was probably me overstating. But to me, I'm like, it's just, they're signaling, like, I am part of this thing that is happening right in this moment, and you are part of this other thing, you bad neighbors, that we are reacting to. Anyway, that accumulated context, we with eyes can see that the context has shifted around these things. And so don't tell me that 10 years ago, some people who were just very Christian and super into America's founding were flying that flag. If you look at January 6th, that flag is everywhere. That flag, the Banner of Heaven, or the Appeal to Heaven flag, it's everywhere.
Mormons.
Right.
Also, we do have a
can I
political
add two more
movement
just really
that
quick
is
facts,
really
really quick?
into flags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like in a way that has not been true in any time in my life.
Yeah, very
Right,
into flags.
please, Tim.
Just two other just really quick facts. All those accumulated facts are right, Sarah, and you kind of implied this first one. But again, she didn't turn the flag upside down in 2018. She turned it upside down 10 days after the Capitol was stormed.
That's
and
right.
like, if you're the fucking Supreme Court justice, one of 9 of the United States, and our Capitol is just stormed, you need to that there's a period of time for a few weeks where you need to be going out of your way to ensure that nobody thinks that you could possibly be on the side of the people doing the coup. And instead, what they were doing was sending the signal that they were. So the timing is really bad. And then again, just to repeat, the lying. Like, Frum did a really good riff on this today. It was just that if you were a Supreme Court justice, you are there because of your commitment to integrity and to the law. You are not a elected official. You are not a leader. Like, that's the whole point. You're supposed to have integrity.
Temperament matters.
That is
matters.
And so if you're calling up a fucking Fox propagandist to tell them a lie about your wife turning over a flag, like, that shows just atrocious judgment. Like, at the very least, absolutely horrific judgment and just a sense of entitlement that is that makes you frankly unfit for the job. And so, I think all those are also important additional elements of context.
So what is the remedy?
There's no remedy.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, Dick Durbin should not be such a wimpy, whiny, shriveled little ball sack, and they should have serious oversight hearings. And Martha Ann and Ginny should be rolled in front of Congress, because you absolutely know that's what the Republicans would do. That's not a solution, but that's a political.
Right?
That's a
people
political
then say,
move.
"Oh,
that
that's
they should
overreach. Look at them
Great,
trying to
let 'em
haul
do
in
that.
Supreme Court justices' wives."
Let them do that.
No,
Hunter had to go.
This is one more case in which, again, this is once you let a madman into the government and into the White House, a whole bunch of things start unraveling for which there is no remedy. And this is one of them. And it has now infected the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, for which these guys are, and gals are gods, right? They're there for as long as they see fit to stay there, or until they're called home. And there is no remedy for it. And if Donald Trump wins, he's going to replace Alito and Thomas. And for all we know, he'll get to replace Sonia Sotomayor too. It is not crazy. It is absolutely not crazy that we could have 5 justices on the Supreme Court
6
who were appointed. Well, no, 5 is like bedrock. Absolutely, he'll do 5, but possibly 6 appointed by Donald Trump, the most unfit person to have ever sat in the presidency. I mean, I don't know. Just sit with that, America. You sit with that.
Sit with that. Next level, listeners.
All right. Guys, it was a great show. Good show. Medium length show. We're going to go to Denver. There are a handful of tickets left. We sold out the first venue in like 24 hours. Then we moved venues. We're not all the way sold out. I think there's like 30 seats left maybe. It's going to be great. Jared Poll's going to be there. It's Tim's hometown. Possibly, I've been told, not confirmed. Novak Djokovic? No. Jokic? How do you say his name?
No, he'll be in Serbia. He won't be there.
Oh,
but
maybe he's not going to be there. Not confirmed. Yeah. We can't put his face on the poster with a not confirmed speaker.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh, too bad.
And guys, go check out the Washington Post profile of the Bulwark. There's a good profile of us.
Nice. People are noticing. It's funny. A lot of comments in the comment section of the Washington Post was like, "Welcome to the party, guys." Very good. Very positive comments.
They love you.
See you next week.